Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in the bio section of my social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss anything. Also, looking at the economic calendar, we have FOMC this week. Now, this is going to be a big week for FOMC. I say that last time I said that it didn't move. So FOMC has been kind of weird lately. The ones you think that are really going to have the big impact don't really move much, and the ones that don't have Powell's speech or predictions, it moves a lot. So it's FOMC has been kind of weird lately, but this one should be a big mover because it's got the it's got the economic projections, which it normally doesn't have, only like a few times a year. Then it has the statement, then it has the Powell's conference at 2:30. So the economic projections and the conference are the ones that end up making the huge move. I mean, the statement, obviously they're not going to raise rates today. I mean, not today, this week. So I think that they could announce that they're going to raise rates sooner than expected because of the inflation at 40-year highs, or tapering faster than they expected. I mean, I think something's going to happen. So we'll have to see if it does. And the last time that I said it was going to be FOMC was going to be a huge mover, I did really nothing, but I think it's going to this time. So I think this one could be different because it's the last FOMC of the year for 2021. So we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, as far as FOMC, I don't really see anything else on the docket besides like the morning news, core retail sales. Just our average weekly morning news. So yeah, just FOMC. So with that said, I do want to check one thing. I want to check the. I did not check the put to call ratio for the week. I mean, for right now, or is it right now? I mean, the put to call ratio is up there pretty high, 0.61 on stock chart. So I mean, there's a lot of puts out there, but I think what's going to end up happening is that, let me put SPY up on the chart. I think what's going to end up happening this week is SPY is so close to all-time highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up pushing to 475 plus before FOMC. We're going to gap and grind. We're so close to all-time high. I cannot imagine them not pushing it to it before actually the market tanking. So I'm expecting a gap and grind till Wednesday. But the problem is we could gap up $3 and just chop all day long, then gap up a couple dollars and chop all day long, because we've seen that in the past, and I really hate that it does that, but it is what it is. So maybe the market will start freaking out because of they anticipating something to happen. I don't know. The market, we'll just have to see how the market reacts to stuff like that. But anyways, being so close to higher day, I think that we're gonna higher day, all-time high. It's gonna get pushed to it. So I'm thinking 475 plus by Wednesday. Then that's when we're gonna end up seeing the real show on SPY. So now, I got a few on the bullish side, a couple of new tickers I don't really, well, only one ticker I don't usually look at too much, but I'm going to look at it. But I'll start with the bearish list first. Now, the bearish is ones I'll look at if the market's weak, and the bullish ones when the market's looking strong. And obviously the market can flip on the dime based on news or anything that happens overnight or during the day. So be ready to change positions really quick. So QCOM is on the bearish side. I mean, I know that it's up here near all-time highs again, but it's had such a huge push from earnings, and it had another big pop right here, and it did get back a little bit. I think that we get a little bit of head and shoulders right here, left head. So I would watch it underneath 180. Let's say 182 for a push to fill the gap to 177 to 172. Then you get this area down here, 170, 167, 168. So 165 is the area I'd be watching. On the weekly, you get the RCT trend line down here at 160. So, and it's like down here 160 on the daily, 161 on the daily. So when the price gets too far away from the RCT trend line, it likes to come back down and retest it eventually. So we'll have to see. I mean, you had this pretty much the same thing here as it is here. You get this exaggerated move up, and then it finally dumped. And I think that we're going to see this kind of move over here somewhere. We'll have to see. I mean, it could grind out for a couple more weeks before it actually has its initial drop on QCOM. So that's what I'm looking for on that. Now, Apple just keeps grinding up. I mean, having halt on production, and yet it's still grinding, not making new all-time highs. It's just crazy how things change, and the market, Apple just doesn't care. Our market doesn't care about it. So, but anytime the full body candles get outside the Keller channel like this on the daily, it likes to come back and retest it. 20 EMAs down here. At 165, so I think that it's going to end up coming back down and retesting that. It could be this week, could be later on in the week. It may not drop that much in a week, but I would suspect that Apple's going to pull back a little bit. I almost said Microsoft for some reason, but yeah, I would watch it underneath this 178 area for a push to 175, 170. 165 and 160. So we'll have to see if it actually has its drop this week. Netflix is another one. No, Netflix should probably end up having its ER run soon, but it's still got a few weeks away, at least a month away before earnings comes out. So, well, earnings season, I should say. But you get like your head and shoulders. You get the left, the head, and the right shoulder right here. So underneath this 605 area, probably can get a push down to this 580 area where it broke out. So this, because remember, for numerous weeks, almost a full year, it stayed within this 580 to 480, 500 range right here for the longest time that it broke out. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we come back down to 580. And then after it comes back to 580, it starts making its earnings run. So Netflix is notorious for making an earnings run before a couple weeks before earnings, so that's why I'm thinking this will end up dropping to 580, then popping. So definitely be watching that. And something else, okay, I'll get to that in a minute. PayPal is another one I've been watching. PayPal, I mean, on the weekly, it had its first green candle on the weekly, so I would watch it over I'd watch it over 195 for a push to 200. 200 would be a big psychological number. If it gets over 200, it's probably going to push to 210, 215. Then you get that gap right here around 225, 220. So I would say it's probably likely going to reject this gap resistance right here and probably pull back and make an inverted head and shoulders. Yeah, it's because that's what usually ends up happening, that it will get to gap resistance, then pull back a little bit, then to make another run for it. So you can get like a left shoulder right here, then the head. So I'm assuming that will reject and have another right shoulder right here, then it will pop. So that's what I'd be looking for on PayPal. Roku is another one. I know Roku is one I just keep looking at and keep watching, but had strong news on Wednesday. You had about the I think it was Amazon or something like that, which was the actual news it had when it dropped up here in the $350 range, or 320 range is where that had that news. But yeah, it's not up at the 320 range, but it did pull back a little bit. But I mean, I think Roku is just had a nice strong green candle, even though it took back half of it. I think that it gets momentum on it again, like we saw on Wednesday. It can easily have another $30-$40 day. I think Roku is going to end up going back to 350 plus eventually in the next couple months, but we'll have to see. I'm surprised we didn't get any analyst upgrades because of this big sell-off we've had on Roku was because of that deal that just got back on YouTube. That's what it was. It was a YouTube, not Amazon, and that was one of the main reasons why it got crushed. Then analysts kept destroying it on the way down. So now we should start seeing analyst upgrades and stuff like that, and hopefully we'll get a nice push to 350, 400. So I would watch for that on Roku. Obviously, over Roku's options have been so expensive lately, but if you can manage, if you don't mind paying the expensive premiums and stuff like that, and play cautiously, that you should be okay. But I'd watch it over to 232 for push to 240, 250, 260. This will be the area that it rejected from on Wednesday. Gets over that, 280, 300 is going to come really fast. So I'd watch that. Obviously, we played Snap a lot last week. Snap, I think, is going to actually... Snaps looks just like Roku's. Had a big move up till Wednesday, and it kind of pulled back a little bit. Inside candles right here, so I would watch it over... you got a head and shoulders right here. Left head, right shoulder right here, but I'd still watch for a push. I mean, you can even say that... inverted, I mean, slightly left head, right shoulder. I mean, it's not picture perfect, but I mean, it could, I mean, depending on how you look at it. But I would definitely be watching it for the long side, not the short side. I mean, I don't think there's much more downside to Snap at this point, under $50. So anytime it gets under 50, it gets bought back up pretty quickly. But I would watch it over 50. Let's say 51.50 for push to 54, then you get 56, 58, and then you get the gap resistance at 60. So that will probably be the magic number on Snap. So then Disney's one I'm also watching now. Disney, it did pop up to the 20 EMA, and it likes to reject and pull back after the first test, but Disney's just gotten beaten down so much. I'm assuming that it's going to end up making a bigger bounce here, test gap resistance. The weekly is still very oversold. I mean, the last couple of times last time it was oversold like this was back during the COVID crash. So this thing likes to trade in the 170, 180 range. So I would watch it over 154 for a push to 155, 160. And then get to 160, you get this gap resistance here at 164, 165, and I think that it will probably end up stalling out right there. But yeah, I would expect Disney to get back up into here and try to challenge gap probably in the next couple of weeks, but we'll have to see how that plays out. But I do like the weekly reversal candle right here, so I think that Disney's could have a strong day over 154, so definitely be watching that. Now Splunk, I know that Splunk, this thing is just stupid, and it started to get momentum, but you know, it gets down to this 107 area, 110 area, the thing likes to bounce. I mean, it's done it numerous times. I mean, here. I mean, I would definitely watch this thing for a reversal. Now, as far as we go out further, go out like 5 years or something, I mean, it does like to hold this area. I mean, again, I can go down here to below 100. I mean, I'd be, if it got under 100, I would definitely grab comments and just hold it for a long-term swing on Splunk. But yeah, I'd be watching Splunk too if SPLK over let's say 113 for a push to 120, and if it gets over 120, then that's where things can really open up to the 125, 130 area. So I mean, I'm not expecting it to go to 150 right away, but I think we can get at least a $10, $20 push out of SPLK this week. We'll have to see what will happen. It's very, very oversold on the weekly. I mean, look at the RSI, it's oversold. Came close here, did here, and it bounced. So, I mean, we could end up seeing this. We could end up seeing it just consolidate for a couple weeks before making its initial pop right here. So that's something to just have to keep on radar. Facebook's another one that I keep on watch for a push. I mean, I did get up to the RCT trend line, rejected a little bit on the daily, but on the hourly, it still looks pretty good. The weekly had its nice big green candle, not a bullish engulfing, but Definitely starting to, I mean, you can see right here, bullish divergence right here. It's making a lower low, and the histogram is making a higher low. So the weekly bullish divergence definitely looks good. So I would watch it over 334 if we push to 340. Then you get the 340, yeah, 340, 345. Basically every $5. 350 be a big psychological number than 355. That's where it's been struggling. It's at the 350, 355 area, but it gets over that. It's going to go to 360, 370. I mean, I would not. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Facebook is not making new all-time highs here sometime in the next month or so. So, something I want to bring up is BIB. I was looking at this the other day, and it is so oversold on the weekly. I mean, down here it's down at the 220 area, and every time it gets down here it has a massive pop. So it might be something to look long term for. I mean, every time it gets down here it gets up to 350 a few times a year. So it got down here, it dropped and it popped to 300 and took, I don't know, it took a long time. It took like 6 months. Then back down here, it took a while. I mean, it just, this thing just likes to get news and have a massive move. So back down here when it was really struggling, it had news, and it had this news right here. I don't remember what it was about, but I remember the news was just ridiculous. So buy the fear. There's lots of fear in BIIB, Biogen. So I might grab something long term on that. I am not sure. I'll have to look to see how things look tomorrow. DOCU, I'm looking at this one. This had a massive dump on earnings. I'm expecting it to bounce. I mean, every time you have these massive drops, I mean, look at the RSI, it's way below 30. That it's going to end up having some kind of dead cat bounce. So this thing could be above 200 and fill the gap probably the next, I don't know, few weeks or something like that, or longer, I don't know, but could also make more downside. But I think this could be a nice long-term play right here for like spreads or something like that. But I'll have to look to see what the prices are tomorrow. So I would be watching this. If you even want to play like day trade it, I would watch it over 150, and you get gap resistance right here at 160, 158. It's so close to gap resistance right now. It's making like an ascended triangle that it's probably going to break out. So I would not be surprised if it does end up getting over this 155 area and 160, that this thing could make a strong push up. It could have a nice short squeeze on it. So definitely be watching DOCU on this week and long term. So that's going to do it for the watch list. I know a couple of tickers I normally don't talk about, but I'm going to end up watching something and seeing what the watching them actually, and seeing what the spreads look like tomorrow, and see if I take them or not. So that's why I need to be in the room, and that's going to do it for the watch list. Thanks for watching.